Hello everyone, this is Zoe and I will be presenting my teaching and learning project for Education40. The skill that I will be teaching is stir-fry cucumber. The desirable outcome is that my learner can make a dish of good-looking and delicious cucumber. The specific teaching outcome of this skill will be the learner can learn how to turn the cucumber into a dish and apply the stir-fry skill to other dishes. The learner is my sister. My youngest sister, she is 18 years old. According to the Piaget stages, she is at formal operational stage because she can think of abstract ideas, formulate hypotheses, and make constructions of alternative to reality. For example, she might imagine how the oil will spill out and burn her, which makes her think that cooking is dangerous. She doesn't have any prior knowledge to cooking. She never cooked on her own. She is afraid of cooking, and she doesn't even know how to cut cucumber. I decided to teach her the skill because she said she liked eating cucumbers. I chose modeling to be my first strategy in teaching this skill. I will be using live models and verbal instructions for modeling. It means that I will give out in-person modeling and giving out verbal description of how to complete the skill. The reason why I chose modeling is because I think in teaching a person to make a dish, hand-in-hand instruction is always the easiest and most straightforward way to demonstrate a skill. And just like people need a cookbook while learning to cook, I will be the audio cookbook for my sister by giving out verbal instructions. Modeling is a strategy based on social learning theory developed by Albert Bandura. One of the 5 assumptions of this theory is that people can learn by observing others. I think it is a good fit for this lesson because I learned cooking by observing my grandma. I was live modeling the whole process. My sister couldn't really speak English, so I was using Chinese. In this step, I was explaining to her why we want to strip our cucumber because the way we peel it influences the taste of it. The second step is to cut open it and remove the part that we don't want. Although I modeled how to cut cucumber to my sister, she had some problems with cutting it, which I will show it in the next videos. And here comes the actual cooking process. During the whole live modeling, I was also doing verbal instructions, explaining to her why and how we should do each step. My sister did ask a lot of questions regarding why and how we should do that. I think my answers and our interactions just helped her learn better from my model. From observing all the steps that I go through, I think my sister already had an overview of how to make it. The second strategy I will be using is operant conditioning. For positive reinforcement, I will use money and verbal compliments to increase my learner's desired behavior. Also, I will use negative reinforcement, taking away the money, to increase the desired behavior as well. The goal is that I want my sister to learn the correct and basic way to make stir-fry cucumber. There are certain behaviors that I want her to practice more until it becomes her habit, which involves in behavior change. For example, I want her to learn how to cut the cucumber in the correct way and when to put the cucumber in, until the oil boils. Operant conditioning is developed by B.F. Skinner from behaviorism. One of the key assumptions of behaviorism is that learners' behaviors are the result of experiences with environmental stimuli, and money is what my sister 100% interested and desired in. I found this as an effective reinforcer as well as a desired stimuli for my sister.
Okay, here's my sister's turn.
Here is a demonstration of how I used operant conditioning. My sister peeled the cucumber correctly, and I rewarded her $5 because I want to increase such correct behavior in the future. I also gave her positive reinforcement verbally, which is compliment. I was trying to encourage her so that her desired behavior will increase. A flashback to modeling, I did give her a lot of verbal instructions when she didn't know how to do that. This is the part that although I did modeling previously, my sister forgot how to do this anyway. So I kept telling her the correct way to do this is to increase the angle, tilt it more so that you can get longer slides. Although I kept correcting her on how to do so, she still produced a lot of weird shaped pieces. So I took away the previous reward, the money, intended to increase the correct behavior. I want her to cut the cucumber correctly. The third strategy I will be using is called shaping. Shaping is also from behaviorism. It is how we use behaviorism lead to more complex behaviors. It basically means reinforcing the successive approximations of the target behavior. As each more complex behavior is exhibited, the prior reinforcement is eliminated. We only reward the more complex behavior. For example, if my sister already learned how to cut cucumber correctly, then I will remove the reinforcer for that behavior, and I will only reward her the more complex step, which means I will only reward her when she learned the preparation of cooking the cucumber. Shaping is good for teaching the skill is because cooking cucumber is a step-by-step process. It starts from the basic steps, cutting and preparing the cucumber, to more complex steps. Shaping is also based on behaviorism developed by Skinner. The reason why I think it is a good fit for the lesson is because the whole lesson is a stair-step process. The last strategy that I use is called shaping. I have given many positive reinforcement to my sister when she completed the steps correctly. As she acquired the basic skills for making a dish of stir-fried cucumber, for example, as she already learned how to cut cucumber properly, I stopped rewarding her for that behavior. In the following lessons, I only rewarded her when she was able to complete the next complex step. This is how I use shaping from behaviorism to lead to the more complex steps, and this is the final product. That's all for the demonstrations of the 3 strategies that I used. Here comes to the lesson evaluation. For modeling, I think some of the strength is that we have the characteristics of an effective model. I am competent in cooking, and the behavior is relevant to the learner's own situation, which she wants to learn this. And we also met the conditions for successful modeling. I modeled next to her so I can get her attention. My verbal modeling helped her remember what I did. Also, in-person instruction makes it possible for me to correct and assist her physically. Some of the weaknesses is that although she paid attention in watching and listening to my modeling, she still needs some assistance during the practice. But overall, I think modeling is the most effective strategy that I used because I think the most straightforward way for my learners to learn is to learn from observing what I already did. For operant conditioning, the strength is that I think the positive reinforcer, verbal compliments, it helped a lot in encouraging my sister and giving her confidence for moving forward. But the weaknesses is that I thought money was a good reinforcer, but during the practice, she was nervous and the money is not something she wanted anymore. Instead, verbal compliment is better. I found that negative reinforcement is not a good fit because I just couldn't bear to take away something from my sister. And I finally realized why Dr. Hansen said taking away tokens from kids is not a good action. Shaping is good for breaking down the learning process to stair steps, which is much easier for my learner to learn. But the weaknesses is that the reinforcers became less and less effective as I keep using them. And it makes shaping the least effective strategy among the 3. Some of the strengths and weaknesses might be hard to identify because my task of making a dish is kind of narrow. This is an evaluation of the lesson effectiveness from the learner's perspective. Overall, my learner modeled what I did in a demonstration well, but sometimes she forgot how to do certain steps and asked me for help because she was too nervous. But the skill is learned and demonstrated as I anticipated. It is even better than I thought. Her stir-fried cucumber looks fine. It tastes good, and that's the most important thing. After 5 days of the lesson, I asked my sister to stir-fry lettuce, and she could remember most of the steps, which means she learned the stir-fry skill and can apply it to other dishes. From my perspective, the difficulties that the learners face is that sometimes she felt unconfident, even though with my verbal instruction. The way I handle it is that I assisted her physically and encouraged her with my words. I pretty much stick with my strategies. I stick with modeling, both live modeling and verbal modeling, and I used positive reinforcement and found out that verbal compliment is better than money because encouragement is what she needed. But I feel like instead of describing one of my strategies as shaping, the learning process is more like a scaffolding, which I demonstrated a skill and my learner could do it with my assistance. At the end, my learner is able to do the task independently. The biggest challenge of the task is that I need to build her confidence in cooking.
It's okay.
That's the end of my project. Hope you enjoyed watching this and thank you for watching.